Michelle, and I have a guest today who is going to come and be part of my hot seat. So, Noelle, would you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, I'm Noelle. I'm a stay-at-home mom of two from Toronto, Canada. I have two little girls, an 8-month-old and a 2.5-month-old.
Yes. No, 8 month
Two
old and
and a two and a
2.5.
yes, year old. Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
I was like, hold on, that does not
No,
mathematically work here.
no.
2.5 year old and an 8 month old.
hmm
Yep. Okay, good. So we're gonna start out with what's hard in parenting right now?
Especially with the toddler, it's setting boundaries, punishment, consequences when she doesn't listen. The listening is really, really something my husband and I are both struggling with right now.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start there. So when we say she isn't listening, what do we really mean?
She's just defiant. Like if we give her an instruction, like, hey, let's not stand at the kitchen sink and play with the water for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We take the stool away from her. It's a tantrum, it's a meltdown, right? And we try to tell her it's okay to be sad that mom and dad said no, right?
Yeah.
But she just goes and grabs the stool again. And it's just this constant back and forth.
Yeah. So really we're talking about maybe cooperation.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's definitely a better way to put it.
Yeah. I think, we often want to say like they're not listening. I think they're listening. They're listening real good, but they don't want to do what we say.
Right.
Right. And so I think that's where a lot of people, and I know you're not alone, a lot of people struggle with cooperation. And it's a hard one. Cooperation and connection go hand in hand. So when connection is high, cooperation is high. When connection is low, cooperation is low. Now, cooperation is always hard no matter what.
Right.
So your little girl just got a new sister 8 months ago.
She did.
And it's not easy.
No. She has been really good with her.
Yeah.
She loves her sister, but I can tell now that my youngest daughter's name is Lauren. As she's becoming more active, they're starting to butt heads more. Like that sibling jealousy is starting to come into play for them.
Yeah. And when you were a kid, what were you expected around cooperation or being told what to do, or what was it like as a child for you? What did your parents expect?
So I come from a family where my aunt and uncle played a great part of my upbringing, and my uncle was very much my way or the highway. He kind of used fear-based parenting with us, and that worked for me. He scared me, and I listened. And I find myself now in the I'm going to shout, I'm going to yell at you. So I don't want to scare her, right?
No.
But I want you to listen when I'm telling you something.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to change.
Yeah.
That's like instilled in me that I know I need to work on.
What do you remember what it felt like to be scared?
Yeah, like I just felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And just like that I couldn't show my emotion around him in a sense that I would get in trouble for being upset.
Yeah.
Right? I remember we put our dog to sleep like 7 years ago or so. And I remember coming home from the vet and I didn't want him to see me cry because I thought I was going to get in trouble for being upset that we had to put our dog down.
Oh, Noelle, that's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to be scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know
he didn't necessarily always mean, like he didn't mean to
fear
me, right? No parent.
No.
But that's just how I took the way that he was parenting us as kids, right?
And of course he didn't know any better, right? He doesn't know any better. And that's the way he was probably raised. But that feeling you had, we don't want your daughter to feel like that.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're here. And we can do better. We can do better.
Yeah.
So I think keeping that in mind, like that we don't want to scare her, but we also need her to sometimes do what you ask her to do.
Yes.
And so how do we do that? We get and build connection. So we want to use those connective tools. Now you mentioned something about punishments and consequences. Are you using punishments and consequences?
Just like strikes, like we give her 3 strikes, then it's time to go to bed in the evening if she doesn't listen. I really try to set a boundary and hold to it.
Yeah.
But we just kind of end up yelling at her, which is not something that I want to do.
Yeah.
So
What would
and
it feel like? Yeah. What would it feel like if I just said no more strikes?
I'd be fine with that. Please teach me something.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Let's try to not use strikes. Let's try not to use consequences or any punishments, because I think those things decrease connection and they can make a child more defiant.
Yes. I can see all of these. I just think I lack the skills
Mhm.
and the knowledge to do something else.
Yes, 100%. So let's get to that piece. So if we take away the punishments and the consequences over time, we will see an increase in connection just in doing that. So that's one piece. The second piece is that I'd like you to start implementing daily special time with her,
Okay.
where you're spending 20 minutes a day with her, one-on-one, doing whatever she wants. And it's every single day. And your husband's doing the same.
Okay.
So each day she gets 20 minutes of connected time with you and 20 minutes connected time with her. That's not going to fix everything, but it's certainly going to boost getting rid of the punishments, and in introducing that will increase connection a lot.
Right.
A lot.
Okay.
What is it about those situations when she won't do what you ask? What is it about it that's hard for you?
I think dealing with my own like frustration, like I have to stay calm so that she doesn't see me getting frustrated.
Mhm.
But like the I'm just boiling, right? It's been a long day.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to do. I don't have the time to always be patient.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things, right? So then I have to kind of check myself,
Yeah.
and that sometimes can be hard.
Yeah. What do you think you can tell yourself in those moments where you're like really boiling?
I just stay calm, Noelle, take a breath, step away for 2 minutes. Does it really matter if she's still playing in the kitchen sink? No, it's just water in the kitchen sink, right? Like I
Yeah.
just have to remind myself to take a breath and come back to it like from a different perspective or a different angle and see if we can change the situation.
Okay, that's a good thing for you. Now, let's think about these moments where she's having a hard time. And you mentioned limits and boundaries, but I want to really purse away the limits and the boundaries from the consequences and the punishments, because we can have limits and boundaries, but we don't need to have punishments and consequences. In fact, it doesn't sound like they're working anyway.
Yeah, no, and they're not.
No, they're not. And she sounds strong.
She is.
Aha. And maybe she's sensitive.
Yes, a little bit, I would say. Yeah.
So that combination of kid is tough because everything in their environment is affecting them, and she's probably deeply affected by her new sister.
Mhm.
And so she's maybe vying for attention in all kinds of ways that aren't the most positive. So why don't you give me a scenario of a time when, do you want to use this kitchen time, the water time?
Sure, yeah, we can use this.
So tell me what happened.
Actually, I have a different time. That
Yeah,
might
tell
be
me
better.
that time too.
Okay, so we put her in toddler soccer,
Okay.
and it's yeah, except for she doesn't, like you said, want to cooperate in soccer at all.
Okay.
And like my family comes to watch her, she wants to kick the pylons and pick the grass, and I'm like, can we please just do one drill that they're asking?
Yeah.
Now last night I did use like the 3 strikes. I remained calm because I was like, this is just soccer, it doesn't matter. But on the 3rd strike, we were 45 minutes in and she wasn't listening, and she was running through all the fields beside us with kids playing, and I just calmly said, okay, Haley, it's time to go home. You don't want to be here? That's fine. We'll just go home. And I tried to keep my tone like even with her.
Right.
There was no punishment. It was just like, if we're finished, that's okay. We're just going to move along and go home.
Yeah.
So that's a moment when I really had to keep myself calm and just remember, like, it's just soccer. This isn't going to matter next month, next week, come the fall. Like, we've made the most of whatever this will be.
Yeah. That was amazing. I mean, do we think soccer maybe isn't her thing right now?
It is not.
Yeah, I don't think soccer is her thing. And I think it's okay to say that at 2.5, like, we don't have to do something that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Great. You left, and was she okay with that?
No,
Oh, she wasn't. She wanted to stay.
she kicked the chair and screamed the whole way home that she wanted to go back to soccer.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it's just so hard because she's excited to get there. She's excited to put on her soccer shoes. But then when we get there, there's no cooperation.
Do
And
the coaches care?
it's parent taught. So they have an instructor, but it's a lot of like we have to do it with her. And I thought that that would be nice because then it does give her that time to be a one-on-one with either myself or my husband while we're doing this stuff
Right.
together, right? And yeah, it's not not working out that way.
And
So
so are any of the parents saying like she can't do what she's doing, or are they okay with her just doing what she wants?
no, they're okay with her just doing what she wants because she's not the only toddler not
Yeah.
listening, right?
Right. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, why does it bother you that she's just running through the fields?
I'm not sure. It's just I guess it's just my own. You want your kid to be the one that listens. You want your kid to be the one that cooperates. I guess it's just me that it bothers more than it bothers her, right?
Yeah. I wonder, were you the kid? You were obviously the kid that had to listen and had to do what you were told.
Yes,
And that was the expectation.
it was. Yeah.
So when you see her, what do you think when she's doing these running through the field and not listening?
I just see a kid misbehaving and being bad, I guess, essentially.
Right.
But I see how you just kind of circled that back to me, how that was my expectation that was given to me growing up. And now I am instilling that expectation into her.
Yeah. I think she's doing just fine for a 2.5-year-old. She's
Yeah.
there. She wants to be there. She has her soccer shoes on. I think you did it.
Yes.
I think maybe we should take a look at our expectations for a 2.5-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should really lower them way down to the ground.
Yes.
There
Yes.
should be very few expectations of the 2.5-year-old.
Yeah. And I have to like remind myself and my husband sometimes where I'm like, she is only 2.5.
Yeah.
You know, especially when she throws fits or she gets upset in front of family.
Yeah.
And you know, they'll say a comment, right? And I'm like, you guys realize she's 2.5? Like she's not 12, she's not 16.
No.
She doesn't know the feeling that she's feeling, all those sorts of things. So
Well, let's take a look at the tantrums because you've mentioned them a couple of times. It sounded like she had a pretty big one on the way home from soccer. What do you think of tantrums? When you see a kid tantruming, what comes up for you?
just that she's feeling big emotions that she doesn't know what they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can recognize like that she's upset. So I'll say, you know, it's okay to be sad, Haley. Mom and dad get upset sometimes too when things don't go our way.
Yeah.
Or she's frustrated because, you know, my husband or I have told her, no, we can't do this. Right. And I say, you're frustrated.
Right.
You know, that this is what frustration is. Right.
Yeah.
We don't get our way. So she's just doesn't know how to regulate her own emotions yet. Right.
Yeah. I think that's
us.
totally. I think you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right. She doesn't know how to express herself and she's just having her feelings. And, you know, my mentor, Patty Whitfler, always used to tell me kids that age should have several tantrums a day because that's what's healthy.
Right.
It's a way for them to expel the hard feelings. It's a way for them to unclog their psyche. It's a way for them to express themselves. And if they don't, where do the feelings go?
Yeah. Well, I don't want her to hold them in. That won't do her any good.
No. So maybe we can say, oh, yes, she's having a tantrum. Yes.
Okay.
This is a good thing. I want her to have a tantrum. I want her to get it out. Please have it. I'm here. I hear you. I understand. It's so hard.
Okay.
If we can have that as our expectation, that it's good and that she's going to have a lot of them.
Right.
Will it help us relax into them when they come?
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
I think that mind shift of just changing that shift and being like, you know, she's 2, this is okay, this is healthy behavior for her versus oh, she's bad because she's having a tantrum, which I think society as a whole
Of course.
looks at a toddler having a fit and goes, wow, she's a bad kid, she's not listening, right? But they
That's
forget she's just 2.5.
Yep.
She doesn't know, how to feel.
No. And how many adults do you see have tantrums?
A lot. I have my fair share as
I have
well.
one too. I've had them as well recently. And so it's like we have these very high expectations of children that are not fair.
Yeah.
And so and of course we all get sucked into it because it's everywhere around us. We can't help but get sucked into it.
Yeah.
And then we might start thinking that we're a bad parent because our kid isn't doing soccer right or is tantruming or isn't, doing as we ask. And so then we start to think, oh, I'm a bad parent because I can't get my kid to do the right thing.
Yes. And that's how I felt at soccer. I'm like, it's just my kid that's running across every other game, right? But then I turn around and see another toddler like not cooperating. And I'm like, okay, it's not just my kid.
No. And soccer for 2.5-year-olds, I mean, I commend you guys for even trying.
Yeah, just something to get her out of the house one evening, right? So
Exactly. Let her run everywhere she wants. She doesn't know what soccer is. She has no idea what you guys are asking of her.
yeah. So just changing our like, oh, I can't think of the word. You said it.
Expectations.
Yes, our expectations of her, right? Is like if she's just here to run on the field, that's okay.
Yep. If she's here to run in the field, that's okay. But I want to give you one practical thing that I think also will work.
Okay.
Give me another time where she was not cooperating. We can use the water one if you want.
Okay, yeah, let's use the water one.
Okay, yeah. So tell me what happened.
So she has a stool in the kitchen. She loves to wash her hands, but the wash her hands is just play with the kitchen sink, play with the water coming out of the faucet. And it makes a mess for me. And she gets soaked. And I'm like, Haley, get down. We don't play in the kitchen sink, right? I might give her a minute. Get down. No, I go to wash my hands. And it's like, I love that you want to wash your hands, but we don't play here. And then that leads, when I take the stool away, that leads to a meltdown, which is just now a healthy way of her releasing her emotions. But yeah.
Okay, good. Let's start there. So maybe instead of saying get down or you need to stop, maybe we can have a more positive way of saying it that could be helpful. Maybe we can also introduce a washing your hands song. We can introduce some sort of game around like wash your hands, 1, 2, 3, wash your hands, you and me, get the soap, get the water. Like what can you do to be fun and playful around washing your hands? And then you say, okay, we're going to have 3 rounds of washing our hands with the washing our hands song. And then we're going to turn off the water.
Ah, okay.
And so let her have her time. She gets 3 rounds. It's, goodly amount of time to wash her hands and play in there. And then when it's time to turn off the water, you're going to say, okay, Haley, honey, I want you to turn off the water, please. And you want her to turn off the water.
Okay.
And if you can't turn off the water, then you're going to say little girls who can't turn off the water are going to have to wrestle their mommy. Can you get her off with connection? Can you get her to wrestle with you and turn off the water? Instead of being like, stop, turn it off, get down. No, we can't. And then you resort to just pulling her away from the water. Can we come with play and positivity to get her to cooperate using connection?
Yes, I definitely think so.
It's not going to work every time.
No.
But it will work a lot of the time.
Yes, and I have like some of the stuff you have shared on Instagram. I have noticed that when I have spent, even 15 minutes with her just one-on-one playing, and then I say, okay, Haley, let's go and put our pajamas on. She is more willing to go with me to put the pajamas on because we've had this fun time together. So I have seen this work. Yeah. It's just the mindset of doing it consistently, I think, and trying to like teach it to my husband. Yeah. That's challenging, right?
We weren't raised like this. Nobody did special time with us. Nobody did games to wash our hands. Nobody let us run around the soccer field like maniacs. This is all so counterintuitive. So every day we're like, wait, hold on. Are you sure this is what I'm supposed to be doing? Aren't I supposed to be yelling at and sending people to timeouts and giving them 3 strikes and like doing all these things? And very counterintuitive. So that's the thing you're fighting in your head.
Yes. And you're fighting like the narrative from family members that chirp in your ear.
Yep.
That's hard as well.
Yep.
So,
and you can just say, you know what? Guess what, Grandma? Guess what, Mom? We do it this way in our house.
yeah.
This is the way we're going to do it in our house.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let them infiltrate your space.
Yes.
Inside your head, and you surround yourself with as many people as you can that are doing it this way.
Yeah, I've had my husband and I have had conversations where our parents have had 30 years to raise us how they wanted, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, it worked out and we're good people and stuff, but now it's our turn to try something different and to see what the result could be. And I think we're both on the same page about wanting to make some changes. So
and you know, in the doing parenting this way, you're going to get what looks like more off-track behavior because you're allowing for it.
Okay.
And so don't think you're on the wrong path when she has tantrums or when she says no or when she's running around the field or whatever she does. Don't think you're on the wrong path, because I can tell you long term it works, and it works really good.
Okay.
Don't doubt yourself.
So, yeah.
Okay, good. So you're going to have special time, the 20 minutes of play every day, you and your husband. We're going to use play when we can to guide cooperation.
Okay.
And most importantly, we're going to change our mindset. Our new expectations are on the floor for this 2.5-year-old.
Yes.
Nothing she does can be wrong. She's just having an experience.
That's a really great way of looking at it. So
yeah, she's never wrong. She's in her own feelings.
Yes.
Yeah. You're going to do great, Noelle.
Thank you. I'm going to give it the best shot I can. So
do it. Yes, do it. Okay. Tell me what was your favorite thing that you learned today?
I think the cooperation, instead of looking at it as she's not listening, that she's not cooperating.
Yeah.
And that's a key, I think, a really big key word for me in our chat here, because I think that'll really help me change my mindset on when we're just not cooperating, and that's okay. And then introducing the play and all of that stuff.
Yeah. So, and taking away from the punishments. You have several levels and layers of where you're going to increase connection. And I bet you in 2 weeks, she's going to be doing a lot better.
Yes.
Yes. Will you email me and tell me?
I will. I will.
All right, Noelle. Thank you so much for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay. See you soon.
See you. Bye-bye.